everyone. Welcome back to LA Storytime. This week is going to be very glamorous. All right, no, last week we talked about mechanical bulls and smoking shots, freaking out in meetings. This week we are hitting the red carpet because once I left my job at E and started working at Saddle Ranch, I finally had my days free in Los Angeles to pursue TV hosting and entertainment reporting, which was why I was there. That was my whole purpose in life back then. And it was so exciting being in Hollywood, seeing celebrities at Saddle Ranch and knowing that there were these glamorous events going on in the evening time. But how would I get there? Right? I knew it was going down. I knew that once I got there, I knew what to do, get on camera and ask the right questions. But how do you even get into events? Back then, there were just outlets. Everybody was watching E, Extra, Entertainment Tonight, and the internet, YouTube was kind of this new crazy space. So there were a few little internet outlets, but it was mostly the big guys out there at red carpet events. And every event is not an A-list movie premiere either. That was, of course, where I really wanted to be, was with the big stars at something that you would see on TV, an event that I could tell all my friends back home that I covered. But there are also tons of little parties going on in Hollywood every single night, TV premieres, product launches, birthday parties for D-list celebrities, all kinds of fun things bring out the famous and the semi-famous in Hollywood on a regular basis. And I would have been willing to cover any event that I could. So I would spend my days scouring casting websites for any kind of little work that there was. Could I get a job on Extra or Entertainment Tonight or those kind of places? Probably not yet, because again, to get any of those jobs, you had to have a hosting reel that showed the work you had done. But how are you supposed to get work to put on a reel if you didn't have a reel to show the people who would hire you for work? It was a bit of a dilemma. And I remember one day coming across a casting on one of the casting websites that was for an outlet that would cover red carpet events, but it was called ShoesTV. ShoesTV. Well, I had never heard of ShoesTV. Of course, nobody had. They were an internet thing that I later learned was really just to facilitate coupons and selling like this shoe outlet store. It was a guy who owned like a big online shoe retailer. They were just trying to drive traffic and drive sales. This was before influencers and before everybody was using social media and YouTube to sell stuff. So I was really excited when I saw this casting about ShoesTV. They were looking for a red carpet reporter, someone to go and cover Hollywood events, talk to celebrities about what shoes they were wearing. I later learned that that would be quite the constraint on me as an entertainment journalist, which I considered myself to be back then. But I got hired by another woman named Christy, oddly enough, to work for this outlet. And my very first event ever, you guys, are you ready to die? Are you ready to get told the biggest news of your life? I thought that's what this was when I got the phone call. I believe that it was either the day before or the day of. That's how a lot of these events work. They're not really sure how much press they have room for, and maybe they want the big outlets there first. So whoever is organizing these events says, oh, okay, ShoesTV, yeah, you can come to an event that happens in 6 hours. So I believe it was the day of that I learned. I got a phone call. Christy, you are going to be covering for your first red carpet event ever, Wine by Wives launch party in Hollywood. So Wine by Wives was the first ever beverage offering from reality stars on Bravo. They all have one now, right? Witches of WeHo and all that good stuff. Skinny Girl. But this was way before then, and it was Vicki Gunvalson and Tamra Barney. She was Tamra Barney then. I was just watching all the videos from Real Housewives of Orange County, and they were launching Wine by Wives together. So I was sure that this event would bring out tons of other Bravo stars. I knew all of them. I was fully versed in the world of reality TV at this point. So I was ready for this event and to just really kill it. It was absolutely incredible. I couldn't wait. I remember getting ready and going to what was this like little restaurant lounge kind of right at Sunset and Vine, or maybe Hollywood and Vine back in the day. It's been long since gone. But showing up at this event and there not being really anybody or anything going on when I first got there. That's the thing about these events. You get so excited, and you get a list maybe of people they think are maybe going to be there. So you've got your research, you've got your questions ready. You spend the whole day obsessing over it, and then you get there and there's nothing going on. Press check-in is always, a half hour before the events start. And I was a little bit like, okay, I was ready for this to be cool. And then it all started to happen. Myself and my producer, who was running the camera for Shoes TV, we were one of the only outlets there. I guess this wasn't on the A-list press radar back then, Vicki and Tamra, but I sure as heck was excited to be there. And one of the first people to show up was Lynn Curtin, who was also from The Real Housewives. And then they just started coming fast and furious. You know, Dana Wilkie from Beverly Hills. There were several other of them, other reality stars. There was someone like from The Bachelor who was there. And I just could not have been more tickled. This was my first brush with being, I had done all that fun red carpet stuff when I worked at E behind the scenes and getting to be involved in the rehearsals and kind of watching as the hosts get to do their thing. But this time it was me out there holding the microphone with a cool mic flag on it that says Shoes TV. I remember everybody being pretty open to talking to me. That was something that I would get to learn as I would continue covering events. And the biggest reason why I ended up becoming obsessed with reality TV, covering it, finding the stars, seeking them out and asking them the questions that people wanted to know the answers to, was because they are so incredibly accessible. Reality stars have signed up to have their private lives exposed. Their motivation is to be known. And so they want to be out there answering any nosy question that you have, anything about the show, and anything that I later learned would make a headline. But back in the day on YouTube, it wasn't that hard to get views. Really not at all. If you had a celebrity name in the title, or again, I was the only person out there. This was before gossip channels and social media and all of that. I was the only person out there asking these like nosy questions from a fan type person of the reality stars. So that's why I became incredibly obsessed with them, because I could ask them anything and they were totally game. And I learned that from Tamra and Vicki, even though at this particular event and with Shoes TV as a whole, I was only ever allowed to ask about the celebrities' shoes. Ever. You guys, I had so many good questions and I was always dying. There were these huge people. I just went back and watched some of the tapes, and I cannot believe some of the huge names that I got to talk to with Shoes TV. And I could only ever ask them, who designed your shoes? Are they comfortable? Where did you get them? And you really would find that most people's shoes had a story, which is pretty fun and cool. But really not all that exciting. So I asked Tamra and Vicki about their shoes. And I remember Tamra was about to get married to her current husband at that time. And she was saying, oh, I'm trying to decide what shoes to wear for my wedding. And I said, oh, I wore pink sparkly ones. And she was like, oh my God, I was thinking about that. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally vibing with Tamra. And it was just the highlight of my whole entire career up to that point. And that was just the beginning. That was just the first event that I did with Shoes TV. But it wasn't just red carpets either. We got to go to gifting suites, which is something that I believe they still do, even though now, products just send their stuff to influencers and that's how they get exposure. But there used to be these big gifting suites where everybody would come and they would give free products away to all the celebrities that would show up. And those were so fun to cover because you got to interview celebrities and also got to see all these cool products and fun things. There would be like health stuff. I remember going to one and like getting my eyebrows done, and they're always serving champagne, and it just all felt so fabulous. It felt like I was finally doing what I meant to do in LA. And I'm at gifting suites and I'm on red carpets. There was another really cool piece that I got to do with them where I went to this singer. Her name was Nairae Alday. She was so cool, so talented, fantastic music. If you run it back to like 2012, she got some big hits, and she invited me into her home and we got to go through her closet and look at all of her shoes. That was so much fun. And I really was starting to feel like that entertainment host. I'm the next Giuliana for sure. How many times am I going to say that on this show? Oh, we all know how that turned out. And really, she's not doing a whole lot but enjoying her life now either. So I guess her and I do have a lot in common these days. But I had my greatest interaction ever with her actually because of my work with Shoes TV. Her and I were both at E for 2.5 years. And I talked about that one time on the red carpet where she made a joke and no one laughed except for me. And she thought that I was laughing at her. And it was really scary until she realized that I was obsessed with her and smiled at me. But I had an even greater reaction with her thanks to my work with Shoes TV. There's an event called the Gracie Awards that happens every year where they honor women in TV and film. It's a really beautiful event, and the coolest celebrities always show up dressed to the nines. It's at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and my first year going and covering it with Shoes TV, I was so ready. Hey there, it's Christy with Shoes TV. Giuliana was hosting the Gracies that night, so I knew that she would be on the red carpet. She would be there answering everybody's questions, and I was so ready. When I had worked at E, this was something, a little tidbit that didn't come out in that first episode that I think is so incredibly interesting from my time there. But the wardrobe department at E used to have what they would call wardrobe sales. So an email would go out maybe 20 minutes at the most before it would go down to everybody in the building, everybody who worked there, that said, wardrobe department having a sale in, conference room 4E at 3:25. Don't be late, because everything will be gone in about 2 minutes. So it was stuff that the hosts at E, Giuliana, Kat, Debbie, Sal, there was Ashlyn and Samantha were some of my faves back then. The wardrobe department would sell us, the staff that worked at E, some of the clothes that the host had worn on air to make more money back to go buy more clothes for the E host. So apparently the wardrobe budget over there at E wasn't incredible, because they weren't paying us all very well, and then they wanted to sell us the clothes. Anyway, more on that in episode 1. But those wardrobe sales were really cool, because I would go and buy a bunch of stuff that had belonged to Giuliana, or even better, that she had possibly worn on the air on E! News. And in one of those wardrobe sales, man, I made a haul. I think Giuliana had actually just cleaned out her closet at home once too, and had her assistant bring everything in. And I think I paid $5, maybe $10 at the most, for the most beautiful pair of Stuart Weitzman stiletto heels that you have ever seen in your entire life. I still have them. They look like garbage now because they're all dirty and worn, but they were brushed gold and cork and just high as heck, strappy, beautiful. The first ever pair of designer shoes that I owned. And they were hand-me-down from my idol, Giuliana Rancic. I never wore them, of course, because I was just trying to keep them clean and looking cute. But for the Gracie Awards, Giuliana coming down the red carpet, I knew I had to be wearing her shoes. How else am I going to get her attention? I'm working for an outlet called ShoesTV. And this would be an event unlike Wine by Wives, where there was tons of press. And ShoesTV would be way at the end. All the big guys were up front, and everybody would stop and talk to them and kind of rush past the rest of us to get into the event. So I had to be aggressive. And we were there at the event. I was getting so many cool interviews. I talked to member Ariel Winter that night, and I was speaking with Sean Robinson, another TV host who you guys probably know now. She hosts the 90 Day Fiance reunions. We love her. She's always kind when I run into her on the red carpet. And I was talking to Sean, who Giuliana, of course, knows too. Look at us, just a couple of TV hosts hanging out on the red carpet together. Me, Sean, and Giuliana. So G walks up, and she, having hosted the event, or having to go host the event, she was in a rush. She was coming late from E! News, and she was just stopped not to talk to me, but to say hi to Sean. And I stopped her. Normally, I would not do that. Clearly, she's trying to get somewhere, and I have respect for people and their time and the fact that the show was trying to go on. But I thought me and my shoes and my interaction with Giuliana was more important in this moment. And you know what? Damn it, I was right. I was right, because this is the greatest moment ever to be featured on any piece of video footage. So G stops and says hi to Sean. And I said, well, Giuliana, wait. I asked her quickly, what shoes she's wearing, because I have to get that for the outlet, or, the guy selling shoes isn't going to be happy with me. So I asked her what shoes she's wearing. And then I say, actually, do these look familiar to you? And I hold out my little toe, and she looks, you can see this all in the video, which I will roll for you. Giuliana, I am actually walking in your shoes tonight. Do these look familiar to you?
Oh my God, I know those shoes. Yes. What are those shoes? I have those.
You guys, she didn't even know that they weren't still in her closet, and they're on my feet. She says, I think I have those. And I said, do you have them, or did you sell them at an E! Wardrobe sale?
Oh my God. Did you buy my shoes?
This would normally be like so embarrassing and kind of gross and weird that you're wearing someone else's shoes, but it was Giuliana. And I said, yes. And she thought that was the coolest thing. She told me I was sweet. She said that those shoes have seen her husband, Bill Rancic, naked. which was just a fun and cute, such a Giuliana thing to say, right? And it was just the absolute greatest moment in my life. We had a little high five and we got it all on camera. A lot of times during these events, you have very small amount of space. There's people running around and bumping each other and getting in the way of the frame. But this is just lined up perfectly. You can see both her and I high five and having our moment together with my Stuart Weitzman's, her Stuart Weitzman's shoes. I was just absolutely tickled. And not only that, but the whole event and the red carpet and everything was just like, at that point, I think everything I say, I'm like, that was the highlight of my life so far at that point. Even though Wine by Wives had been just a few weeks earlier, I had a new highlight, a new highlight of my life. But it wasn't just my past experience that would help me get these cool red carpet moments. I realize now how much of my future was sort of laid out because of the people that I ran into in these early days and the interviews that I got. A lot of times I would see WWE Superstars on the red carpet. And I have so many Shoes TV interviews with like the Miz and Maryse, CM Punk, David Otunga. We used to go to the event that was that they did for SummerSlam every year, the Be a Star Party. And just got everybody and talked to them about their shoes. One of the wrestlers told me a secret that all the guys have lifts in their wrestling boots to make them look taller. That blew my mind. I didn't know who any of them were. And looking back now today on those videos, I'm like, hello, Naomi is standing right there. What are we talking to Brodus Clay for? I mean, people that I would go and work with, in the future very closely. And I was interviewing them on the red carpet as if I had no clue who they were. But I would definitely find out in the future. And that's kind of how wrestling got back on my radar too. That's when Total Divas started to air. And I would run into those girls on the red carpet. And I was determined to get, the scoop from them always. So that was kind of part of my future that would start to materialize as I worked these red carpet events. And actually, the first one that I went to for Miz and Maryse, when she first left WWE, she launched a jewelry company and she had a launch party for that in Beverly Hills. That was the first event that I covered for Shoes TV and also for Christy Reports. So the producer of Shoes TV at some point, gave me the bad news that like they're shutting this down. It's not helping the bottom line. And Shoes TV is going to go away. But we're on the list for this one more event. And if you want to go, if you have a camera and you can film the footage for it, we'll put it up. And this producer really did me a solid when we had this conversation too. And she said, and you can like just ask them whatever you want and put it on your channel and do whatever you want. And that was such a light bulb in my head. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can have my own outlet. There's this thing called YouTube and anybody can put any video out there. And I can be Christy Reports. So that was absolutely huge for me. We went to the House of Maryse launch and I asked my little shoe questions too, but then I got to ask Christy questions. And I was really inspired by Maryse and what she was doing at that time. She's a fantastic woman and someone who's really been through the ringer, I think, in Hollywood herself, and is open to always talking about that. She's a great interview. So that was the start of Christy Reports. And that was the start of me being able to contact the people who were organizing these events and say, hey, you kind of know me. You've seen me before. Now I'm working for Christy Reports. Can I come? And I did start to be able to get into a few little events. My experience with Shoes TV did end up helping me quite a bit because being restricted to only being able to ask about people's shoes meant that I had to get really creative with that. And it also taught me a lot of lessons about what will make people talk and what will make them open up. If you ask someone an incredibly hard-hitting question, something that they're maybe private about or have a hard time speaking about right off the bat, they're probably going to give you a nod and walk away, right? If you get them talking about their shoes or the event, why the charity is really important to them, if it's that kind of event or something, you can really kind of get people talking and warm them up. We call it the 1-2 punch. Soft question, hit them hard, I became a pro at the 1-2-3 punch, but the shoes thing kind of was always in the back of my mind. So one of the first events that I got into as Christy Reports was this cool thing. It was around the holidays at Sky Bar. I think it was an alcohol launch. And Fergie was going to be there, Kaley Cuoco. There was tons of other huge stars, but those two stand out in my mind so much because when Fergie showed up, she had this huge bodyguard with her. Just a massive man who was not letting anyone anywhere near her. She took her pictures with the bottle of alcohol, and then he was like kind of guarding her down. She had a whole group of people, her whole camp just guarding her, surrounding her down the red carpet. But I'm not scared. I hadn't been doing this that long. What reputation did I have to protect? So I just kind of shouted at her with the shoes thing in mind. She had a shoe line back then. I think it was through Chinese laundry. A lot of celebrities did. And I had these kind of black faux leather strappy, shoes that were really rock and roll. They were cool. They went with everything. And they said Fergie on them. And I would wear them all the time. And I, of course, wore them for this red carpet, knowing that she would be there. So when she tried to sneak past me, I stuck my little foot out there and I said, Fergie, I'm wearing your shoes. And that got her attention. So we got to warm her up a little more. I love them. They're so comfortable. You can hear all of this in the video. And she stops and she goes, oh, she looks. Big up to Fergie for checking me out and making sure that I wasn't just telling her something to get her attention, because people will do that kind of stuff. She looks and she kind of goes, ah, what's up? She loved it. And then you can see on her face making that judgment kind of her going, okay, I'm going to give this girl 1 sec because I like that. She's wearing my shoes. And so I just asked her about the event because she was an ambassador for, there was a charity aspect to it too that I don't exactly remember with the alcohol launch, but they do that a lot, buy our vodka. It's for the kids.
Why do you want to support the troops tonight?
Because they all deserve to be able to call home to their families.
And of course, the celebrity is always going to want to answer that kind of question. There was a big organization too that did a lot for supplying water around the world, the Thirst Project. And I remember getting Jennifer Garner one time as she's running down the red carpet trying to avoid people because that was right when she was getting divorced from Ben and she didn't want to answer any questions. And I just said, Jennifer, why do you want to support the Thirst Project? And she turns around and she goes, because people are thirsty, and keeps running. I was the only one who got her that night. And at the event too, where Fergie was and loved my shoes, and how I was the only one who got her that night because I was wearing her shoes, Kaley Cuoco also tried the same thing, take her pictures and get on down the red carpet and not talk to anybody, which I have tons of respect for. These celebrities do not owe me or anyone else anything, nothing. But I do always incredibly appreciate it when they do give me the time of day. And I am such a hardcore stan for anybody who has done that for me. We are going to get to talking about shampsing and shopping and the reason why I will defend anything that Sheena Shea ever does or says on Vanderpump Rules. We will get to all of that. But it's important for you to know that anyone who gave me the time of day when I was trying to get footage for Christy Reports was somebody that I was like down for forever. So when Kaley Cuoco showed up at the Fergie event, like I said, it was around the holidays and she was trying to run by everybody. So I just said, Kaley, are you on Santa's naughty list this year? And oh my God, she loved it. She laughed and she turned around and she said, always. And it was just this fun and crazy moment, just so much, so cool. But the thing that I remember about it is that everybody else on the carpet, all the other reporters, videographers, it was a huge line, all turned around and looked at me. Who is this girl who's getting the big stars to talk to her? Right? We don't know her. What is Christy Reports? Nobody knows. Nobody really cared either, especially at the beginning. But I just remember being so proud that I got Kaley Cuoco to speak on camera at this event. That moment was like confirmation that I should be there, that I was doing the right thing, that I was pursuing the right job for me, and that this was something that I could actually be successful at. So pretty darn cool. Christy Reports just took off from there. It wasn't just red carpet events either that I got to go in and feel like a big deal at. I remember covering Patty Stanger's birthday party, the Millionaire Matchmaker, and there were tons of Bravo stars there. It was at this really famous sushi place right in the middle of West Hollywood, and getting to stay for the party afterward. I thought that was so cool, standing by while Patty blew out the candles on her cake, and I got to take home one of the gift bags from the party, which in that gift bag, I got a purse that was made out of condoms, which elicited a great red carpet reaction when I would carry that one. I remember Jonathan Bennett from Mean Girls. I got him at a Grammys event one time years ago, and I had that purse in my hand while I was interviewing him, and he goes, are those condoms? Like, yeah, bro, this is Hollywood. What do you think? I went to Patty Stanger's birthday party and got this in a gift bag. I'm cool, just like everybody else. So I got pretty courageous at this time. One of the next Christy Reports events that I did was at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant, Sir. She was there. Lisa Rinna was there. This was before Lisa Rinna was ever even on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I asked her if she would do the show, and she said no. That big fat liar. But you can see in those videos, I didn't even have a light yet for our camera. My husband now, wasn't my husband then, Farmer John, was behind the camera. He is not a cameraman. As I said, he is just a farmer. So we got no lights, not great sound. But again, I have these great little moments of asking Lisa Rinna if she would ever do the Real Housewives, of having this sort of cute faux interview with Lisa Vanderpump's dog, Jiggy. I just thought that was the absolute coolest thing I had done. Lance Bass was there. I had been a huge NSYNC fan back in the day, and he was someone who I would run into a lot on the red carpet. He is like the mayor, basically, of West Hollywood. He's always very, very kind when I run into him. So this was when I really started rocking and rolling in Hollywood and being known too a little bit. Lisa Vanderpump would definitely, after that first time at Sir, she would definitely get to know me, and I would go in there all the time and say, hey, Jax is working, Stassi's working, Kristen's working, Tom's working. Can I pull them outside right now? I have some questions for them. This is right when the show just first started to air. And that was kind of how I really made a name for myself, and how I was able to get some viewership on YouTube and on my blog. Remember blogs, guys? So it just really all kind of took off from there. And I have so many fun stories, so many more red carpet moments with celebrities, crazy things I've said to them, crazy things they've said to me. And we are going to have lots of time to talk about all of that in the future. So make sure that you subscribe. Remember that you can watch this on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And if you see something in one of my old videos, I have like hundreds of videos on YouTube with, now I'm realizing, thousands of celebrities. If you see them and you need to know the real story, please hit me up and let me know that that's what you need the next LA story time to be, because I am having so freaking much fun watching all this back and reminiscing, and it's a thrill. So I hope you all are enjoying it too. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.